Hello and welcome to the Miss Camay Show, coming to you live from the entertainment capital of the world. You know where we're at, same place, same time, every time we go live. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Mr. Douglas O'Neill. He is representing Texas, the big old state of Texas, in the inaugural Mr. US United 20-year anniversary pageant this year. Welcome to the Miss Camay Show, Douglas. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning, Miss Camay. It's a pleasure to be back.
Well, yes, let's talk about that. So, your first interview on the Miss Camay Show last year was right before another pageant competition, and that's why we're here today to highlight you and talk about the Mr. US United pageant. I want to congratulate your executive director, Marcia Mickens, on 20 years successful
Yes,
pageantry and pageants. Oh my
absolutely.
gosh, I don't know how she's doing it. So talk to me about Mr. Texas. What's Mr. Texas doing? What's up with this pageant? What are you doing?
So right now, Mr. Texas is very busy preparing for nationals. I leave in about 3 weeks for Atlanta, Georgia, to compete for the inaugural title of Mr. US United 2023. Super excited for that. I'm already packed. I'm already ready. I'm good to go. I'm about 7 days ahead of schedule, so I made my
Nice.
goal. So I'm prepared and I'm ready to go out there to compete. And just really excited to be actually the first male face of the US United brand. I believe I was the first male state title holder that accepted a state title for US United. And super excited just to be there representing the 20th anniversary of US United and just bringing something new to the US United stage.
Okay.
And Miss Marsha's doing something amazing by opening up a male division, and super excited to be a part of that.
Yes, yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute. We've seen some pageant systems introduce a men's competition, and we've seen them kind of go away, I guess you could say. So what do you hope to see with US United in the years to come? This is the first inaugural year for the Mr. US United division. You are no stranger to competition. Anybody that knows you knows that you have competed for several years. You've held several titles. I don't want to take up all of our interview time today going through all of the titles that you have held in competition, but you're no stranger to male competition. And so what do you hope to accomplish by competing this year in this pageant system for the years to come?
I hope that we can just show that men of all ages are still welcome on the pageant stage and that there's just no cutoff when it comes to age. And that if you have the desire and the will, you can get on stage and compete and have the time of your life. And hopefully, myself, as well as the 6 other contestants who are going to be competing in the inaugural Mr. US United pageant, can set that example and just make the men's division just bigger
Yeah.
and bigger as years to come.
Mm-hmm.
I believe our goal was to have 10
Mm-hmm.
starting out, and we're at 7. So we're super excited about that. And hopefully next year we can bring in 7 more and 7 more after that. And we'll have a stage full in a few years.
Yeah. I was very excited to see the announcement. I think that pageantry across the board, over the years, even growing up, it's definitely been for women, right? And men are so underrepresented in pageantry, mainstream pageantry, plus size pageantry, and there's so many amazing men. I like to call you men kings, right? Because we're all royalty here.
Yeah.
But there are so many kings around the world, essentially, that have overcome so many obstacles of life, who've grown up and matured and become wiser in the journey of life. and have completely changed their life, completely turned their life around. Not that they weren't necessarily doing anything bad before, but not necessarily doing, living life with intention, right? And pageantry highlights that, as you and I both know. Pageantry highlights the individual, their platform, what they're doing, how they're impacting their community, especially our kings of color, our Black kings, our brown kings, just so many things. And we're not even touching the tip of the iceberg, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. So talk to me. I want to move into platforms, because platforms in pageantry are essentially the foundation for pageantry. What is U.S. United's national platform?
U.S. United's national platform is breast cancer awareness. That platform it came about because our director, Marsha Mickens, had a breast cancer scare. And by the grace of God, she was cleared and did not have breast cancer. So, but that became her mission for herself as well as for other women who were not only affected by it, but overcame it. And so that became the mission for US United's national platform.
Nice, nice. Platforms seem to, happen to people, right? Like
Yes.
our platform somewhat chooses us. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I want to introduce your platform to our audience today. Your national platform is F.L.I.P, F.L.I.P, Flip. And it's a platform that motivates individuals and families who've been affected directly or indirectly by domestic violence, alcoholism, suicide, addiction, and depression. And the FLIP acronym means family love is precious. So, we talked in our pre-interview call, preparing for our interview today, and how you have said that platforms are more effective when they affect you personally. It essentially makes you more relatable to your audience. So talk about that. Talk about your platform, how it chose you, and how you feel that it makes you more relatable in your pageant competition.
Absolutely, I do agree with that. I do believe that platforms are more effective when it is a more relatable platform. And when I say that, I mean it's just a platform that you have experienced, like you said, directly or indirectly. And again, my platform is FLIP. It's an acronym for Family Love is Precious. And it is a platform that focuses on individuals and families who have been affected by alcoholism, domestic violence, suicide, addiction, and depression. And that is something that I faced growing up
Mm-hmm.
in my home
Mm-hmm.
as a child.
Yeah.
And so, who better to be able to speak on those issues than someone who actually lived through them? And
Yes.
so, that's why I say those platforms become more relatable when you're able to speak about them and give those personal experiences.
Right, right. And I think what's important here, with this depth of a platform, we need to normalize this conversation. We need to, we need to remove the stigma that is associated with these types of issues, because reality is, and the facts are, and I don't have law to cite here at at this juncture, but to make this conversation more normal. I've grown up, I've had similar exposures to some of the things in your platform myself. And I know where my mother came from. I know where my father came from, because as an adult, I was able to have those conversations with my parents and understand the depth of what they survived and the tools that they were provided with, to be parents, just to be people, right? Because it's all about relationships. And so to understand our family and understand where they come from, understand what they've gone through, really understanding that family love is precious, because family is all we have. And not to, give our family excuses, right? I feel that our family members should be held to higher standards than our friends, essentially, or acquaintances or associates, because they are our family, right? So we're not, essentially making excuses for anybody, right? Correct?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But understanding, being able to extend forgiveness, being able to be forgiven, extending grace and gratitude and empathy and compassion. Sometimes we have to ask for forgiveness. I know as a child, I wasn't, like perfect May all the time. I gave
Yeah.
my mom, quite a bit of gray hair, I would admit. And, so there have been times, where I've had to go to my parents and ask them for forgiveness, for my behavior.
Mhm.
And so, everyone has experienced some type of trauma in their past. And so you're right, having those experiences, being able to be a mentor and a coach to somebody who's currently gone through that or is going through that is absolutely, I agree with you. It's much more relatable, and definitely the person for the job, right?
Absolutely.
So Mr. Texas United says, US United, excuse me, says your platform chooses you. So how did your platform choose you? When you started to, decide that you were getting into pageantry and you were you were going to start competing, how did you know that your platform was choosing you?
Because, like I said, there are so many platforms out there. I mean, there's thousands. You've got Alzheimer's, you've got autism, you have American Red Cross, you've got breast cancer awareness, um,
Kidney disease
you've
awareness.
got you've got every platform out there, and of course, you can choose those platforms. However, just by choosing a platform, you have to research those platforms and know those platforms and those statistics. So it just became natural for me to speak about something that I already had experience in,
Yeah.
and that was with flip, so to
Yes.
speak.
Yes.
You know, um,
Let me ask you this. The areas of competition for you. One of the
yes.
areas of competition is your interview.
Mhm.
And, across any pageant system that you compete in, interview is always an area of competition. It's always a division of competition. It's highly scored. It carries, in my experience, about 50% of your judging score. And
Yes.
so when in the past, when you've competed, and I know, I've judged pageantry as well, platforms are huge. They're huge to the judge. And judges
Mhm.
want to know, what's your platform and why did you pick this platform? And, what do you expect to accomplish if you're crowned, if you win this title? And they really focus on pageantry. So when you've been in your interview and that question comes up, how do you feel it relates to the judges when your platform's chosen you, when you have personal experience, and then the judges are asking you an interview about your platform? So how do you feel that resonates with the judges when you're talking about this personal experience on your with your platform?
I think judges definitely want to see a real person sitting there in front of them. They don't want to see a robot, and they don't want to see someone who studied, so to speak, a script. I think judges can see through an individual, especially when they're judging individuals in pageants.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they can pick up on genuineness and sincerity. And that's something that I always try to bring across. I try to present myself as someone who is from a humble nature.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes from my upbringing and,
Mm-hmm.
just giving them myself and the real me. And I
Yeah.
think that's not just with me, but anybody when
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting
Mm-hmm.
in, whether that be a job interview, a pageant interview,
Yes.
or what have you, you have to give your genuine self. And I think judges or an interviewer can pick up on that.
Yeah, great point. The skills that you learn competing in pageantry are definitely transferable into your professional life, your personal life. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I have learned the skills of interviewing just from my career. I have been in supervision and in management for many, many years. My career right now is human resources, where I focus on talent acquisition and recruiting. So I interview every single day um, candidates. So um, it's what I do. You know, I love interview, and it surprises a lot of people that that's my favorite part of competition. And a lot of people would think stage was my favorite, even though I enjoy stage and it makes me feel good and it makes me happy. I truly love interview because I feel like that's where I'm able to give the judges me.
Yes, yes, I agree. I prefer to, and not that I've ever had, any, control over, how competition is structured, but I've always preferred to compete and interview before I even step on stage at all.
Yes.
Because on stage they're seeing you from a distance, and you're not, directly interacting with them. You're not speaking to them, even though you're on stage, you're making eye contact with them, with the judges, and, but then you also have your audience that you want to connect with and relate to as well. So yeah, your interview definitely gives the judges, a great bird's eye view into you and who you are and what you represent.
It's
Douglas Hopes, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just an opportunity really for them to just be in your face, and you're actually in their face, and you're in, you're in each other's personal space, and that's the time to really just show them who you are.
Right. In those minutes, literally
In
minutes.
those minutes go by so fast.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Douglas hopes to be a shining example and let people know that regardless of your age, race, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, or negative circumstances in your life, that you can rise above that and be great and not let your past determine who you are or your future. So talk to me a little bit about this. How do you what's the shining example going to be this year at Mr. US United? How are you going to be the shining example, or what's your plan? Not
So,
without giving any secrets away.
all I can do is just give my own experiences over this last year. And anyone who's followed me knows everything that I've been through. I faced a lot of obstacles, and I'm still standing, and I'm very proud to say that. I've had COVID twice.
Hmm.
I have had a very bad food poisoning viral infection. I was
Hmm.
bitten by a brown recluse spider just a couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago. I have had 3 dislocated shoulders over the last month,
Oh my goodness.
and also going through a bout of unemployment. So,
Mhm.
through all of that, I think a lot of people would have just given up, but it just gave me the fight, just the will to just keep fighting. And I've never just been a quitter.
Mhm.
And so I think that is the example that I want to show people, that regardless of what you've been through, it doesn't have to determine what's in front of you,
Mhm.
because all of that is now behind you. And I just want to be that example and show that through all of that, what I went through, I also went through a medical cancer scare, a prostate cancer scare,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
also went through a medical misdiagnosis. So all of that in the last year, I'm here talking to you today, getting ready to leave for nationals. And that's what makes it so special.
Yes. Yeah. And such a great example. I love what you said about, regardless of what you've been through, don't allow that to cloud your view going forward, because that's all behind you. Like
Yes.
so great, such a great, such great words of wisdom to pass on to our audience. It's been a couple of years since you've competed. 2 years, I think, since you've competed.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. So
About to be my
now,
2-year anniversary.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, now in the first ever men's division in US United. So why, like, what have you done in the last 2 years to prepare you for this men's division competition? And And like, how did you find out about US United Men's Division? Like, were you searching? Were you, did somebody like tip you off?
I
Why
was,
after 2 years are you competing again, and why US United?
well, it was my goal to step on the stage at 50 and compete.
Yay!
That was my first goal. So I wanted to compete on stage at the age of 50. That was my goal. So that was the main reason. And then I reached out to a few directors and who had this, they had eliminated their men's division.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached out and spoke to Ms. Marsha Mickens about it. And she said that at the moment she did not have a men's division. However, she would review it
She
and
was
then
considering it.
he was considering it.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, it was on social media, and I'm like, yes, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So it gave me that opportunity to achieve that goal and to be able to compete at the age of 50.
Yes, yes. Well, congratulations, King. You and I both share that big 50. And I've watched you over the years. We've been Facebook friends over the years. We've connected, personally through the Miss Camay show. I've watched you, I've watched your competitions, I've watched your crownings. And 50 is fabulous. 50 is absolutely fabulous. I feel that I am the most fabulous version I've ever been of myself right now
Yes.
at 50 years old. Like, it's so amazing. I wonder what the next 50 is going to be.
Yeah, right.
Because this first 50 has been so, so fabulous, so fabulous. There's 7 men competing. You mentioned 7 men, 6 men, including yourself. So 7 total. That's a pretty good division. That's a pretty good competition.
Yeah.
So who's your toughest competition in this year's pageant?
I never look to the left of me or I never look to the right of me. I think anyone that's been in college, you have those orientations when the professor says, or the dean will say, look to the left of you, now look to the right of you. One of those people will not be here at the end of the semester.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's me. I don't never look to my left and I never look to my right. I always look at that person in the center, and that's me. And
Mm-hmm.
I say that I'm my biggest competition. And so once I get all of that out of the way, it's all about having fun for me. I don't really get too hard on myself. But I'm my biggest competition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
People who've never competed in pageantry before, they have a hard time understanding that concept,
yeah,
that you're not competing with the other delegates.
yeah.
You absolutely are competing against yourself. And myself as a judge, I've judged mainstream pageantry. I've also judged plus size pageantry as well. And the judging standard is flush across the board. We are judging the presentation of each individual delegate. We are not looking at the last delegate and how we scored them and where they scored high or where they scored low, and actually comparing it to the next delegate that comes on stage, right? Everyone that walks on stage, everyone that walks into that interview room, they walk in with 100 points. They walk in a winner.
Yeah.
And as they present themselves in their interview, on stage question, how they speak to people, that is what they are judging. They're not comparing, one against the other. And so anyone who's watching this interview, any kings that are listening to Mr. Texas talk about his competition, understand that, don't allow anyone else that's competing, in your division distract you, or take your focus off of yourself, because it is a competition all about you and presenting you.
Absolutely. And I learned something new about myself each and every time that I compete. I think this time, for me, it was all about discipline and how I prepared. And I was shocked. Like, I shocked myself because I was doing things just, you know, it was crazy. It was like military, and it was just coming to me naturally. So I've really grown and I've matured over the last 2 years,
Hmm.
and I just saw myself doing things differently when it came to preparing. And I think I'm just each time I compete, I just learn something new about myself. I
Yeah.
learn about new weaknesses, new strengths, and how to build on those strengths and how to overcome those weaknesses.
Yeah, that's so great. As you always have, right? As you always have.
Of course, definitely. I think
Yes.
that's been my life over the last 5 years.
So when we talk about presenting ourselves, for competition, right? It's always wardrobe. And of course, we look at our health, our diet, especially, 3 weeks pre-pageant competition. We look at our overall health, our sleeping habits, like so many things are in that category of, taking care of yourself, right? Your physical appearance and how you present yourself. So last week, you made a post on social media, sharing, I think for the first time ever, talking about some little nip tuck, little plastic surgery, some little, zit, zit here and there, that you've had
Yep.
as a man. And I loved it. I loved it. I was just so elated to read your testimony, because I myself, just in the last year, have entered into the world of plastic surgery, and I feel late to the party. I feel like I am so late to the
Never
party.
late, never late.
Yes, never late.
There's gonna always be a plastic surgery party going on.
Yes, yes, yes. So you shared that you've had some plastic surgery, and so share that with my audience today. Talk about that, and talk about whatever your reasons were for doing that, and how that plays a role, and how that plastic surgery or fillers or injections plays a role into pageant competition. And then finally, I'll ask you, how do you feel about that? Do you feel it's fair, in competition? Do you feel it's something that maybe we, should be disclosed when somebody's competing? So let's start with that. Talk about your experience, and, why you decided to do it, why you wanted plastic surgery.
So I did. I had a three-phase liposuction and body sculpting a few years ago,
Hmm.
and it was just because of the amount of weight I gained over such a short period of time.
Hmm.
So I did not like the form of my body.
Hmm.
So I was basically round shaped, I guess.
Okay.
I had no waistline,
Okay.
you know. So I went to a doctor, told him what my concerns were, what can we do about it? So basically what we did was we did a three-phase lipo, which was the left side, the right side, and the front torso. So
Okay.
basically, what that does is once they pull the fat out of those sections, it creates you a V.
That V that men, the
That
big broad
V,
shoulders, the yeah,
exactly.
down to the okay, got
And
it.
and
I've
so
seen it on you, Douglas. I've seen it. I have to admit. I've seen it.
yeah, so I was shocked that I was able to get that. So I went from being balloon shaped to V shaped. And that was really one of the reasons that I wanted it because, I loved wearing, the more slimmer fitted clothes. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel comfortable wearing them, you know,
Yes.
with the shape that I had and at the weight that I was. So
Yeah.
I just decided to do something about it. And it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And it's something that I've never regretted.
Yeah.
And to this day I still have my results, and it just comes with a little bit of discipline,
Yes.
which is hard. That is a hard word.
Yeah.
Discipline when it comes to eating and drinking a lot of water and working
Yes.
out and things of that nature. But yeah, I love it, and if I ever had to do it again or saw something that I needed to have done, I definitely would do it again.
So do you, again, going back to pageantry and presenting yourself and competing, you're improving your appearance with plastic surgery, right? That's the whole objective. You're improving your appearance. So how do you how do you explain the plastic surgery, fillers, Botox, et cetera, and how those parallels compare to presenting yourself in pageantry? Do you think it's fair? Somebody who has plastic surgery, to improve their overall physical appearance, obviously will, some people may say that that would give somebody an advantage, when they've, enhanced their breasts or enhanced their waistline, or, their whatever it is, Botox or lip fillers or cheek fillers, or, so how do you feel it's fair? And obviously, I can share from a judge's perspective, but from a delegate's perspective, how do those parallels for you compare to presenting yourself and competing in pageantry? Do you think it makes it fair?
You know, all's fair in love and pageantry.
Yes.
And everybody's income bracket is different. Some can afford to do more, some can't. And I think people compete the best way that they can. And I don't see anything wrong with that if you're able to do it. But there's also things that can be done if you're not able to do it. There are secrets that,
Yes.
that, parallel with cosmetic surgery.
Yes.
And a lot of people, in pageantry know about that.
Correct.
So let's just say duct tape and let's leave it at that.
Right.
So, I do believe it's fair. I think privacy is everybody's right. You have that choice to disclose that if you want to, and you have that choice to not disclose it. I think, privacy is everyone's personal choice.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, it's won in the interview room. And I think when it comes to enhancing yourself and enhancing certain parts of your body and enhancing your looks, it's mainly for the stage. But at the end of the day, I think your opportunity to get those judges and impress the judges is in the interview room. And I really don't think it matters.
Yes, from a judge's perspective, we are not judging a personal appearance or a personal physique. We absolutely are not judging that. We are judging the details. Is their gown, floor length? Can we see their shoes? Is their gown short? Is their corset back tied correctly? Does the gown fit them? Do they have, the proper undergarments? Is their makeup age, age appropriate? How well do they, how graceful are they? How well do they present themselves on stage? I recall being a judge. I was judging Miss Plus America, and one of the delegates came out and kind of tripped and almost fell. But she completely recovered herself, got herself together and, finished, her stage presentation. And she actually was crowned in her division. So it has nothing to do with somebody's shape or a certain shape or a certain color. We are absolutely not judging any of that. I myself have competed with hardly any makeup on. And I've seen women, compete who have just way too much makeup on. And that's where points are taken off, but we're not judging somebody's appearance. We're not judging men in competition, and if they have that fabulous V that is so desirable, right? We're not judging that.
Exactly.
So it's about how well that person is presenting themselves. And going back to what you were saying, you want to enhance, improve your body shape. We know as we get older, weight loss is much more challenging. Yes. Our body just doesn't bounce back at 50 like it did when we were 20 or even 30. And so doing those things actually gives you the confidence and gives you, that personal, I guess, support of, I'm going out here, I am my best self and I'm presenting my best self. So anything that anybody does in preparation to present themselves, like you said, it's their privacy, right? But definitely all about the person. And I want to normalize that conversation as well. Since I've been introduced to this world of plastic surgery, I would have never guessed that you've had any procedures done. Absolutely. But I've seen so many women and talked to so many women, who've had several procedures, and over the years, over time, as their body has changed, so
Mhm.
we definitely can normalize that. So finally, do you think it makes the competition fair? Do you think that compete better, having the procedure done that you had versus somebody who didn't have a procedure?
For me, it's a personal choice for why I did it. I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it for myself. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, then it's I think as an individual, you handle it better if you do it for yourself rather than doing it, say, for instance, for a pageant or for a partner or for
Mm-hmm.
someone's better opinion of yourself or things of
Yeah.
that nature. I did it for myself to feel more confident in myself. And so, and I didn't do it for any judges or any pageant or any
Right.
relationship or anything like that. I did it because it made me feel more comfortable in myself and in my own skin. And I think when you think of it and look at it that way,
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely do. I think it's fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Go ahead.
No, no, no. That's it.
Okay, perfect. So in closing your interview today, and like I said, we've interviewed you before. For those of you who are watching, you can catch our first interview with Mr. Douglas O'Neill on our YouTube channel. The video should be popping up here pretty soon to make it easy for you to watch. So please be sure to check that out. Let us know what you think in the comments. You can definitely, show your love and support for Mr. Texas by commenting on our video interview. In closing today, what message do you want to send to other kings in the world today? For a gentleman who's watching your interview, who's potentially connecting with you on social media and following you in your journey, what message do you really want them to hear here today in your interview that they can carry with them as they watch you compete for the crown?
Never let anyone put you in a box. Um, we do that enough ourselves. So step outside of your comfort zone, do something different, and you just might find that you enjoy it and you'll enjoy life a little bit better.
I love it. So great. It's words of wisdom from a king himself, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just want to let everybody know that if you do want to attend the pageant or support the pageant, that you can purchase tickets at www.viewstub.com/2023 USU pageant.
Got it. Got it. And how can people connect with you? Give us your social media handles. How can people support your journey to the crown? I know that you have, you're open to sponsorship and support for your travels coming up in 3 weeks. So tell people how they can find you and follow your journey to the crown.
Absolutely. I am Douglas O'Neill Green on Facebook as well as on Instagram. So I'm not that hard to find.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Douglas. It's such a pleasure having you on the Miss Camay show. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. We're so excited for you. As always, we are here to support your journey. We will be following you all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, and following your competition. So excited for you. We're sending you many, many blessings. We wish you no good luck, because it is not luck that is going to win the crown. It is going to be your presentation of yourself to the best of your ability, which you are known to do. So best of luck to you. We will be following your journey. Have a great time. And please wish your executive director, please send her well wishes from the Miss Camay Show. We're so excited for her 20-year anniversary this year.
Absolutely. And I wish her the best of luck because she is actually competing this week. So, Marsha Mickens, I wish you the best of luck and bring home that crown.
Yes, yes. Bring it home, Queen. Bring it home.
And thank you so much for having me, Miss Camay. It's always a pleasure to be on your show and speak with you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for the content. I love you. I'm so excited for you. Can't wait to see, how this competition goes for you. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah,
Absolutely. I love
mwah.
you as well. Thank you.